It's one thing to be born into wealth, but it's a completely different ballgame when you grind your way up from humble beginnings. In Nigeria, a country where opportunities can be hard to come by and the odds are rarely in your favor, some young men have managed to carve out their own empires through hustle, grit, and timely risk-taking. What's even more interesting is that many of them didn't start out in glamorous careers or high-paying jobs, but over the years, through sharp thinking and the courage to bet on themselves, they rose to the top. Let's look at some Nigerian young billionaires and what they did before their riches. Number 14, we have B Lord. His real name is Linus Williams Ifejika, and he wasn't born with a silver spoon. Hailing from Anambra State, his story began like that of many young Nigerians, marked by struggle, limited resources, and a hunger to change his life. Before he ever touched cryptocurrency or made his first million, B Lord was just another tech-savvy young man trying to survive. He picked up phone repair as a skill while still very young and worked diligently. In the mid-2010s, he started hearing whispers about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. While many people ignored it or thought it was a scam, B Lord did his homework. He realized there were real potentials here, especially because crypto was borderless and Nigeria's financial system was full of restrictions and inefficiencies. He used some of his savings from phone repair to start trading Bitcoin and other digital currencies. At first, the gains were small, but when the 2017 crypto boom hit, everything changed. His portfolio exploded in value, and from that point, B Lord never looked back. He established B Lord Group, and under it he launched the B Lord Bitcoin Store, a platform that quickly became one of the go-to places in Nigeria for buying and selling crypto. But he didn't stop there. He diversified into real estate, buying properties in Abuja and Lagos, and using them as a hedge against the sometimes volatile crypto market. By 2025, B Lord's net worth is comfortably in the billions of naira, and his empire will continue to expand. At number 13, we have Kubana Chief Priest. His real name is Pascal Chibike Okechukwu, and his life might be flashy now with his designer clothes, private jets, and booming nightlife business, but his roots were far from glamorous. He grew up in a home where money was tight and every naira counted. Like many Nigerian boys who wanted to help their families, Kubana Chief Priest found himself hustling early. He started out as a sales boy working in local shops and markets, selling everything from household items to drinks. He didn't just sell for the sake of it. He watched, he learned, and he built relationships. That experience taught him how to persuade people, how to spot trends, and most importantly, how to make people feel comfortable spending money around him. After some time, he moved to Lagos in search of bigger opportunities. He took on different jobs, including bartending, but it wasn't until he got close to Obi Kubana, the founder of Kubana Group, that his real rise began. Through that relationship, he became deeply involved in event planning and club management. Thanks to his loud, larger-than-life personality and his ability to draw in celebrities and influencers, he quickly turned the Kubana brand into a big one. He was no longer just managing nightclubs, he was creating experiences. In 2016, his role within the Kubana Group skyrocketed, and he took charge of major branches like Pablo, like Kubana in Lagos, and Grand Kubana in Owerri. His use of Instagram as a marketing tool helped make nightlife look luxurious and aspirational to millions of young Nigerians. But he wasn't content with nightlife alone. He launched his own product, Odogu Bitters, a herbal alcoholic beverage that took off almost instantly thanks to smart branding and his loyal online followers. He also started investing in real estate and other ventures. By 2025, Kubana Chief Priest is estimated to be worth over $20 million, with his business influence stretching far beyond clubs and drinks. At number 12, we have Ladi Delano. Delano's story is one of sharp global instincts and a hunger for big picture innovation. Born in London to Nigerian parents, he had a privileged upbringing that allowed him to see the world from a wider lens early in life. With a master's from Oxford and an MBA from the London School of Economics, Ladi was already steeped in academic excellence before he even began his first serious business. But he didn't chase a corporate job, he went straight into entrepreneurship. At just 22 years old, in 2004, Ladi moved to China and founded a liquor company called Solidarnosc Asia. It sounds random at first, a Nigerian British kid going to China to sell vodka, but that's what made it genius. He saw an opening in the Asian nightlife scene for a premium vodka brand and created Solid XS, which exploded in popularity, especially among young club goers and the upscale crowd. By the time he exited started that business, Ladi was already a millionaire in dollars, all before his 30th birthday. But he didn't stop there. After his success in China, Ladi spent years observing trends in Africa, and by 2019 he co-founded Move, a mobility fintech startup that offers revenue-based financing for ride-hailing drivers. The idea was brilliant. Rather than forcing drivers to take traditional loans, Move allowed them to pay back vehicle loans using a portion of their daily earnings from platforms like Uber. The model took off, particularly in countries like Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana, where access to credit is a major barrier for small-scale entrepreneurs. Ladi's ability to combine fintech, data, and logistics has turned Move into one of Africa's most promising startups, raising over $174 million from global investors. His estimated net worth is currently above $30 million. At number 11, we have Linda Ikeji, one of the few female billionaires in Nigeria and certainly among the youngest. She studied English at the University of Lagos and started hustling very early, working as a waitress, writing for magazines, and later modeling to support herself through school. But it was her love for writing, gossip, and storytelling that would change her life. In 2006, blogging was barely a thing in Nigeria. You had to go to cyber cafes to get internet access, and most people didn't see it as a serious platform, but Linda did. She started Linda Ikeji's blog in one of those cafes, typing stories about celebrities, gossip, entertainment news, and even political scandals. It wasn't fancy at first, just a free blogspot page, slow internet, and her voice, but people began to share her posts and her traffic grew steadily. By the early 2010s, Linda Ikeji's blog had become the most visited blog in Nigeria. It was the go-to place for news you wouldn't see on TV. She didn't just report news, she created online moments. She had exclusives that traditional media couldn't touch and a way of writing that kept readers coming back. Her traffic turned into advertising money, and lots of it. She was among the first to tap into Google AdSense earnings in Nigeria, and by 2014 she was reportedly earning millions of naira monthly from ads alone. But she didn't stop with blogging. In 2016 she launched Linda Ikeji TV, a video on-demand platform where she produced original shows, interviews, and reality series. She also started Linda Ikeji Radio, opened a media studio in Lekki, and even ventured into online news publishing with her own domain. She became one of the first Nigerian bloggers to fully transition into a media mogul. And while her blogging traffic may have slowed in recent years, her empire didn't. She made major investments in real estate, including buying a multi-million naira mansion in Banana Island, Lagos, which sparked a lot of conversation online. Her estimated net worth today sits around $40 million, though it could be higher when you factor in assets and media rights. At number 10, we have Jason Njoku. Jason had the fairly typical British upbringing and studied chemistry at the University of Manchester, but during his university days, it became clear that he wasn't built for the lab coat life. He launched Brash magazine, a student lifestyle and entertainment publication, which didn't make him rich but gave him a taste of running a content business. It failed financially, but the experience was foundational. It taught him how to manage content, build teams, and understand what audiences want to read and watch. After a few failed ventures in the UK, Jason moved back to Nigeria in his late 20s and stumbled upon a game-changing realization that Nollywood movies were in high demand, especially among Africans in the diaspora, but there was no proper online platform for them. He saw an undeserved market and went all in. In 2010, he co-founded Iroko TV, the first major streaming platform dedicated to Nollywood content. At the time, Nigerian films were being shared illegally or in poor quality on DVDs, but Jason created a digital ecosystem that allowed people to stream and pay for content legally. He even partnered with YouTube early on, monetizing Nollywood clips before most African creators understood what online views could do. Iroko TV grew fast, attracting investments from venture capital firms like Tiger Global. Jason expanded into content production from Rock Studios, offering original series and films tailored to African audiences. He also launched Spark, a startup investment platform that helped fund other Nigerian tech ventures. His estimated net worth is over $40 million, and although Iroko TV has faced challenges from global players like Netflix, it still holds a massive audience loyal to Nollywood. At number 9 is Mark Essien. His story is a perfect example of how deep passion and technical skill can change not just your life, but an entire industry. Mark studied both in Nigeria and abroad, specifically Germany, and that experience abroad broadened his thinking and gave him the confidence to dream big. Unlike many young Nigerians who tried to fit into corporate roles, Mark wanted to build something. Before Hotels.ng came into the picture, he had already taken a bold step by founding a software company called GNUM. them. This was back in 2012, and Nom was a messaging platform that allowed users to send and receive media files easily. It wasn't a major commercial success, but it showed that he had the mind of a builder. He then created Hotels.ng, the very first online hotel booking platforms in Nigeria. At a time when Nigerians didn't trust online services, Mark doubled down on customer service and made the platform extremely easy to use. Investors began to take notice. International venture capitalists started pumping funds into the business because they saw the potential. He raised millions of dollars over a few years, not just on the back of the idea, but because of how efficiently he built and ran it. Today, Hotels.ng is still the go-to platform for booking accommodations in Nigeria. And Mark didn't stop there. He began investing in tech startups, mentoring young developers, and pushing the narrative of African-led technology. With a net worth of over $50 million and growing influence in Nigeria's tech ecosystem, Mark Essien is now seen as one of the forefathers of Nigerian tech innovation. At number 8, we have Gbenga Agboola, better known in tech circles as GB. But before he became the CEO of a unicorn startup, he was just another Nigerian guy who loved computers. He studied engineering in Nigeria, then went on to deepen his knowledge abroad. What makes GB's story unique is the kind of exposure he had. He didn't just work anywhere, he worked at Google, he worked at PayPal. These are the kind of companies that shape how the world uses technology, and GB was soaking up all the experiences. His specialty was payment systems, and during his time abroad, he noticed something frustrating. Africa didn't have the kind of seamless payment infrastructure that the West had. Sending money across borders was a nightmare. Getting paid as a business owner was even worse. That's where the idea for Flutterwave came from. He co-founded Flutterwave to solve this exact problem. The platform made it easy for African businesses to accept payment from anywhere in the world. Investors bought into the vision in a big way. By 2022, Flutterwave had raised over $200 million and reached a mind-blowing valuation of $3 billion. That put GB in the same league as global tech founders, and it made him one of the richest tech entrepreneurs in Nigeria. His personal net worth is estimated at over $50 million and is still rising. His work has literally changed how people do business in Africa. From fashion designers in Lagos to e-commerce platforms in Kenya, Flutterwave is now a backbone of digital payments across the continent. At number 7, we have Emeka Okonkwo, better known as E-Money, and he didn't always live the flamboyant lifestyle he's known for today. From a young age, E-Money had his eyes set on bigger things. His first major step into the public eye came through his brother Kingsley Okonkwo, popularly known as KC. When KC began gaining traction as a musician in the early 2000s, E-Money stood beside him as his manager. He handled the behind-the-scenes hustle, bookings, negotiations, travel logistics, and made sure everything ran smoothly. But E-Money's ambitions stretched far beyond music. In 2007, he took a big risk by starting Emi Cargo, a shipping and logistics company focused on freight forwarding and importing goods, especially cars from the US and Europe. At the time, Nigeria's middle class was growing and there was a rising demand for foreign cars and goods. E-Money saw the gap and filled it. It was in this business that he struck gold. One of his early contracts was reportedly worth $2 million, and that deal gave him the financial lift he needed to expand. He didn't stop there. He launched 5-Star Group, a business empire that now covers oil, gas, real estate, and entertainment. Through 5-Star Music, he supported other artists and stayed connected to the industry that gave him his first shot. Today, E-Money lives like royalty. Rolls-Royce, gold-plated interiors, luxury homes in Lekki, and overseas, but all of it came from years of smart investments and calculated risks. As of 2025, his net worth is estimated at around $100 million, and he continues to grow his business empire while mentoring the next generation of entrepreneurs. At number 6, we have Sijibomi Ogundele, or Sujimoto, as many Nigerians call him. He's one of the most respected names in real estate today, but his journey didn't start with skyscrapers and luxury condos. Sijibomi was raised in a middle-class household and studied law, but his mind was always more on business than on courtrooms. After his studies, he took on roles in the financial sector, particularly focusing on risk assessment and SME lending. These weren't glamorous jobs, but they gave him a a front row seat in how businesses succeed or fail, and more importantly, where money flows. Working in banks and financial institutions, he analyzed businesses every day, trying to figure out which ones were worth giving loans to. Through that process, he discovered something interesting. Nigeria had a massive demand for luxury real estate, but most of what was being offered was mediocre and overpriced. That's when the idea of Sujimoto Construction was born. In 2014, with a bold vision and not much capital, he started the company with a focus on world-class architectural standards. Many people thought he was dreaming too big, but he proved them wrong. His first few projects like Medici and Lorenzo by Sujimoto completely changed the landscape of Banana Island and became the new face of wealth and elegance in Lagos. Over time, Sujimoto Construction expanded beyond Nigeria with branches in Paris, Accra, Madrid, Dubai, and even Riyadh. He didn't stop at real estate. He ventured into hospitality and clean energy, building a fully diversified business. By 2025, Sujibomi's net worth is estimated at $100 million, and his brand is still growing. Next up at number 5 is Jowi Zaza. His real name is Joseph Eze Okafor Jr. Jowi Zaza may not have had to start from the bottom, but what he did with his foundation is what elevated him into the billionaire class. Jowi came from a wealthy home with his father, Sir Joseph Eze Okafor Sr., already established as the founder of Jesco Oil. Jesco was set up in 1980 and had grown into a reputable name in Nigeria's downstream petroleum sector. Unlike many billionaire heirs who simply enjoy their father's money, Jowi actually took the wheel when the time came. After studying at Madonna University and earning a master's from Coventry University in the UK, Jowi returned to Nigeria and began learning the ropes of the oil and gas industry. When his father stepped down in the early 2010s, he didn't just maintain the business, he expanded it. Under Jowi's leadership, Jesco Oil moved from being a conventional marketer of petroleum products to a more diversified energy player with interests in logistics and retail outlets across Nigeria. But Jowi didn't stop at oil. He leveraged his family's wealth to diversify into real estate and luxury assets. His lifestyle became a brand in itself, with frequent international travel, a fleet of exotic cars including Rolls-Royce and Lamborghinis, and real estate holdings in high-end neighborhoods in Lagos and abroad. Though often seen as a socialite, his investments show a strategic approach to wealth multiplication. As of 2025, his estimated net worth is over $70 million, and Jesco continues to dominate part of the Nigerian oil market. At number 4, we have Iyinoluwa Aboyeji. He was not born into wealth, but he was born into possibility. He had a curious mind early on, and that curiosity grew when he moved to Canada for his university education. He studied legal studies at the University of Waterloo, but his true love was technology. It wasn't just about gadgets or apps, but using tech to solve real problems in Africa. While still in school, Iyinoluwa started exploring ideas that could bridge the gap between African talent and global opportunities. His first real entry into the tech world came through co-founding a social learning platform called Bookneto, which was acquired by a Canadian edtech company. But that wasn't the breakthrough. The big move came in 2013 when he co-founded Andela, a startup that aimed to train Africa's brightest software engineers and place them in jobs with companies around the world. The idea was simple but revolutionary. Africa had talent, but it wasn't being seen. Andela wanted to change that. It did. Within 2 years, Andela caught the attention of big names in tech, and in 2016, Mark Zuckerberg's Chan Zuckerberg Initiative invested $24 million in the company. That funding shot Andela into the global spotlight, and Iyinoluwa became one of the youngest Nigerian entrepreneurs to receive that level of international backing. But he didn't stop there. In 2017, he stepped down from Andela and co-founded another startup, Flutterwave. Flutterwave grew faster than anyone expected. Within a few years, it was processing billions of dollars in transactions annually, and by 2021, it had achieved a valuation of over $1 billion. That put Iyinoluwa at the center of Africa's tech revolution, not once but twice. At number 3, we have Tosin Eniolorunda. He is not as widely known, but in the fintech world, he's a giant. Raised in Nigeria, Tosin was the kind of kid who loved solving problems. He went on to study mechanical engineering at Obafemi Awolowo University, but his passion for software and finance would ultimately shape his career. After school, he didn't go into oil and gas or construction like many engineering graduates, he took a different route and joined InterSwitch, one of Nigeria's pioneer payment companies. At InterSwitch, Tosin worked as a software engineer and later became a software manager. He saw firsthand how digital payments worked, what was broken in Nigeria's financial system, and where the real needs were, especially among small businesses and rural areas. He saw how cash still dominated the economy and how banks were too slow or too rigid to serve the unbanked. Armed with this experience, Tosin decided in 2015 to create something different, something bold. He left his job and co-founded Team Apt, a fintech company designed to simplify digital payments and banking for the undeserved. The company initially focused on building back-end software for banks, but soon pivoted to a more direct-to-consumer model. That's when MoneyPoint was born, a platform that allowed small business owners to perform all kinds of financial transactions from a single point. It combined POS terminals, mobile apps, and bank agent networks to reach millions of customers, especially Nigeria's rural areas. The growth was rapid. By 2020, MoneyPoint had become a household name in fintech. The company processed billions in transactions, and by 2022, it was reported that MoneyPoint was responsible for handling over $1 billion in monthly transaction value. Tosin had gone from software manager to CEO of one of the fastest growing fintech platforms in Africa. At number 2, we have Shola Akinlade. He is the kind of guy who likes to stay out of the spotlight, but the scale of what he's built won't let him hide. Born and raised in Nigeria, Shola was always obsessed with data and how systems worked. That was what led him to a career in database management. One of his most prominent early jobs was with Heineken, where he managed massive data sets and infrastructure. This gave him a strong technical foundation and exposed him to the back-end pain points that businesses face, especially when it comes to handling transactions and customer records. It was in those quiet technical roles that the idea for Paystack was born. In 2015, he teamed up with Ezra Olubi and they decided to build something that could help African businesses collect payments online. Something simple, clean, and reliable. Paystack launched and quickly became a favorite among Nigerian startups. Everyone from online stores to schools and mobile apps started using it to receive payments. The interface was smooth, the onboarding was easy, and for once, payments in Nigeria felt like they made sense. The big moment came in 2020 when Stripe, a global payment giant, saw what Paystack was doing and decided to acquire it for $200 million. Just like that, Shola became one of Nigeria's youngest tech multi-millionaires. But he didn't disappear into the sunset. He stayed on to help Paystack grow even further and has since invested in sports and other ventures, including acquiring a football club in Portugal. His estimated net worth is well over $100 million, and he has become a symbol of what is possible when talent, timing, and execution meet. At number 1, we have Obi Kubana. His real name is Obi Iyebo, and he has arguably the most flamboyant story of the list. Obi came from humble beginnings and studied political science at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. After graduating in 1998, there were no overnight riches or trust funds waiting. Obi had to grind from the ground up. His first big break came in 2006 when he opened a nightclub in Abuja called Ibiza Club. It was during a period when nightlife in Abuja was still growing, and Obi's club stood out for its high energy, exclusivity, and appeal to young, upwardly mobile Nigerians. In 2009, he launched Kubana Group, which took the same upscale formula and replicated it across Nigeria. The Kubana brand began popping in Owerri, Enugu, Lagos, and eventually across the continent, turning into a nightlife and hospitality juggernaut. But Obi wasn't just about clubs. He expanded into hotels, restaurants, and more recently, the beverage industry with the launch of Odogu Bitters in 2021. The herbal alcoholic drink quickly gained market share, helped by Obi's massive social media influence and street credibility. His parties became cultural moments, especially the infamous burial of his mother in 2021, which was attended by Nigeria's richest and most powerful. Today, Obi Kubana's empire includes real estate, hospitality, and retail businesses, and his net worth is estimated at over $500 million.